Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with watermelon agua fresca. That's right, I'm finally posting a video for my all-time favorite summertime drink. And the reason it's my favorite is because when it's super hot and humid and you're totally parched, there's just absolutely nothing as refreshing, as revitalizing, and as restorative as ice-cold watermelon juice. But why settle for a few precious tablespoons when you can have a whole glass of this stuff? All right, so let me show you how to do this. It is so easy. And if you've not been enjoying watermelon agua frescas, you're missing out on one of life's great drinkable pleasures. So we're going to cut one seedless watermelon in half. Of course, we got to give it the old taste test, see how sweet it is, because that's going to affect how much sweetener we put in later. So step one, we're going to scoop that out into a blender. By the way, this is a fairly standard size seedless watermelon, and half of this will make about 1 pitcher of agua fresca. So we're going to scoop that into the blender. And of course, you're going to want to get as much as you can. So go all the way down to the rind. You don't want the white parts, but if it's red or pink, it should go in the drink. Sorry, just practicing for the next poetry slam. Okay, so scrape out as much as you can. And then we're going to head over to the blender where we're going to add a couple cups of water. All right, this is not a smoothie. This is not a fruit juice. This is supposed to be a flavored water. All right, agua fresca means fresh water. So we're going to pour in some cold water. We're going to throw the lid on. And then just to be safe, because this is like 3/4 full, I like to put a towel on top just in case. And I know people say you look good wearing anything, but watermelon juice, probably not so much. So throw a towel over that, start off on a lower speed, and then go to your high setting and liquefy this stuff for a minute. And do not let that pale pink color scare you. That's just 12 to 14 million air bubbles in there. But those will settle and it will return back to that stunning, dark pink-red watermelon color that we all know and love. All right, so once that's completely liquefied, we're going to put that through a strainer. Now, technically, this step is optional, but I really like to do it. Some of my Mexican friends say not to do it, not necessary, but I do like to strain out the fibers from those seeds. So I pour mine through a fine mesh strainer. Just use a spatula to move it around. It only takes like a minute. Totally worth it, in my opinion. And you'll see you'll trap a couple tablespoons of the most fibrous bits. So I'm going to discard that. And what I'm left with is a beautiful bowl of the most gorgeous watermelon juice you'll ever see. Now, if that foam bothers you, you can skim it off. I don't think it causes much of a problem. But just by habit, I'm kind of a foam skimmer. So suit yourself. All right, so the first phase is done. And now to the second phase, we're going to sweeten this a little bit with something called a simple syrup. And I know what you're thinking. Simple syrup? That sounds complicated. Well, it's not. It's simply a mixture of half sugar and half water. So we're going to dump equal parts sugar and water in a saucepan. We're going to place it over medium heat, and we're just going to let that come up to temperature, giving it a stir once in a while until the sugar completely dissolves. And it does not need to come to a simmer. All right, it just needs to get hot enough for all that sugar to disappear, and it will look completely clear just like that. And once you get to that stage, just turn off the heat, let it cool to room temperature, and then based on how sweet your watermelon was, you'll add the simple syrup to that juice and sweeten it to taste. So on the blog, I'll put exactly how much sugar I used, but you're going to need to taste and adjust. You may need a little more, you may need a little less. All right, so you're definitely in charge of how sweet to make this. You are the jefe of your agua fresca. Okay, so stir in your simple syrup, and once you're happy with the sweetness level, we're simply going to transfer that into a pitcher and refrigerate until needed. I suggest you serve this ice cold, even though you're going to serve it on ice cubes. I think it should be cold when you serve it. And here I am ladling it into a pitcher, and then I realized, you could just pour it all in, right? Which I did. And I spilled a little, but that's okay, I got plenty. And like I said, a half watermelon that size will give you just about 1 pitcher, and that's going to go in the fridge until I'm ready to drink. And you know what? I'm ready to drink. So we're going to take a tall glass filled with ice, and we're going to slowly ladle that watermelon agua fresca over the cubes. Of course, you could just pour this in quickly, but if you're doing a video, you want to ladle it over slowly, so you have time to BS about how awesome it looks, which it does. You got to admit, that looks refreshing. And as refreshing as it looks, it tastes even more refreshing. So I'm going to go ahead and enjoy some of this with my freakishly expensive platinum straw. All right, if all you have is a plastic or paper straw, that's fine, I guess. But I do prefer the platinum. And that's it. There's not a lot else to say. Just a remarkably refreshing drink. Just the ice-cold, pure essence of watermelon with just a touch of extra sweetness. Like I said at the beginning, this is just so incredibly refreshing on a hot summer day. There's just nothing like it. And of course, it's fine in a glass, but if you want to get extra fancy, you could actually use the smaller watermelons and cut the tops off and use that to serve it in. Very pretty. And as far as embellishments, some people like to put a little mint. Some people put some lime in. Other people put like a couple cups of vodka. It's really up to you. I'm kind of a purist. I just like the watermelon with a touch of sugar. But it's summertime. Feel free to play around a little bit. In fact, I may use this as a base for a very special cocktail later this summer. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, here's what I need you to do. Go to the store, get a nice sweet seedless watermelon, and make this agua fresca. You'll be very, very happy you did. Okay? So head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.